there's a lot of things here. I think the biggest thing is the experience is an experience of mistakes.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, creators, and disruptors who are fueling innovation in emerging markets across the country. I'm Tyler Kelly.
And I'm Leanne Buchanan, and welcome to the show. So we've got an awesome guest here. We were just talking about travel, which I know we will dig into more, but Austin Smith is the CEO of Mission Control. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here and talk more about gathering community with Mission Control.
Awesome. So Austin, before we talk about Mission Control and what inspired you and what it focuses on doing, we want to hear a little bit more about you. So you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So Austin, what is your superpower and when did you first discover it?
It's a great question. I would like to think my superpower is bringing people together. Mm-hmm. I think one of the best ways to show love, include love, is just simply inclusion. And yes, you think of that a lot through the lens of diversity inclusion, but I also mainly personally think of this as just come and hang out, you know? Mm-hmm. And this brings me, right to Mission Control is come on and hang out with us. And to me, I did that, as a kid, just inviting people to come and play board games mm-hmm. or sports in my backyard or video games. And all of this time, it was never that I really wanted to play baseball. And I do. But mainly it was my way of showing love to people. It's my love language. My outgoing love language was inclusion. Just come on and hang out and we'll play, whatever it is. And I think I figured that out as a pretty young age, that just people feel special when they're included in things. Mm-hmm. And I liked to make people feel special in that way. So I would say that was my superpower. I figured out how to do it in different and interesting ways, and eventually led me to Mission Control, where our purpose is to gather community. Mm-hmm. It is to include people, to bring groups of people together and make them feel special. And the medium with which we do that just happens to be video games, because that's cool for us nerds over here. But that's what I think is special and what I care about.
So the interesting thing, Austin, about gathering people is you learn so much about, I would say, the power of human connection. Humans are hardwired to connect with each other. We're not actually natural solitary creatures. So what have you learned through your work with Mission Control and throughout your life about the power of human connection?
That is really interesting. It kind of goes back to the same thing of humans, when they're hardwired to meet with people, you get that warm fuzzy feeling when you're invited to get drinks with someone. You're like, oh, I think that person's really cool, or whatever that is. Even in that just purely platonic, let's just spend time with these people sort of experience. And what I've found through work and through my career prior to Mission Control and venture capital for sports and esports at Stadia Ventures here in St. Louis was that you kind of just need an excuse sometimes. Humans, we're busy in this age. Everybody's got excuses. You're always tired. So when you have some excuse to get together, when you have that excuse to have that human connection, and you can't, make up, oh, I'm too tired today, or I'm not going to just go my way and invite people over to do this random thing, then it helps. And that's why rec league sports exist. Mm-hmm. I do soccer every Thursday night. I've got it tonight, and you know what? We lose pretty much every time. I pull my hamstring because I'm out of shape. I'm 130 pounds, so I just get thrown on the ground. But we still pay $800 to go down the road and play at Veta Sports every 8 weeks, because we really enjoy that time together. Mm-hmm. Not the losing part, the community part. And because it's scheduled every Thursday, it's a really, to me, that kind of forces what we all want, and it makes that part of us that's oh, I'm too tired, or I don't know if I can, get out today and get in front of people, kind of pushes that away, and it pushes a little structure and excuse for us to get together, and I like that.
The crazy thing is, on this season of Innovation City, we've had a game developer, local guy from Graphite Lab, so he's creating games for Atari and things like that, and so we've been talking a lot about video games. And I've heard the word esports a few times. And just over the past few years, we've had these conversations, but it's still relatively it hasn't exploded yet. So talk to me about the esports opportunity and what you see there.
Yeah, so I mean, you say it hasn't exploded yet, and I
Mainstream.
think, right.
Yeah,
In a way, you can say that it hasn't, right? Because you don't see it the way you see sports, or you don't participate in the way that you participate in sports. But there's 51 million people who played team-based traditional sports last year, and there's 170 million in the U.S. who played multiplayer video games. So what's not mainstream about that, right? Like it's like, oh. You know, so yes, you have pickup basketball, and then you have rec league basketball, and that number's tracking rec league basketball. That scheduled experience where you go to a gym and there's a ref and there's teams, and that's that 50 million people number in the U.S. 170 million is just people who pick up and do pickup video gaming, but like that's literally 3 times plus the amount of people who play traditional team sports are playing pickup video gaming with friends. That's the multiplayer number. That's not even people who just play. That's like 240 million. So when you get to, okay, well, what's the difference? The only difference is that over here they're playing pickup, and over here they're doing pickup and scheduled. And like I said earlier, when you kind of just, that missing piece is that the only thing that esports hasn't done yet is tackle that structured part that makes us get out every Thursday and play with our friends. Everything else exists. You got pro leagues, you got amateur stuff, you got varsity at college, you got kids getting scholarships to college, you got kids getting like recruited to high schools or the private high schools for this stuff. Like it's all over, and it has plenty of room to grow. But don't forget, the League of Legends Championship had more people watch it than the Super Bowl. So again,
this is all stuff that I did not
I
know.
have no idea.
Isn't that
I
crazy?
just heard of Fortnite. That's it.
Well, I actually play NBA 2K. It's like one of those things I do every night in the multiplayer, right? I do turn off the voice, right? I don't talk trash to 13-year-old kids, but it's enjoyable, right? So and what is it about Mission Control that like takes that experience to the next level?
So let's start with this. Do you participate, either are you in like fantasy football or baseball or basketball leagues, anything like that?
Yeah, totally.
Once.
How was that experience?
It was an all-black female lawyer fantasy football team.
Wow.
And I did quite well for not actually watching any games.
That's pretty cool. I play fantasy football too. I don't watch any games. I'm not a football fan. I am a baseball fan, and I'm obsessed with it. But that experience for everybody is about, like, let's say 12 people draft. You set the lineup once a week. You probably have a group chat where somebody throws, trash, and there's some shade thrown one direction or another, and then maybe you win like, $50 at the end. Right? That's typically that experience, but that experience was something that was just for the 12 of you. So what if you play an NBA 2K? Every Wednesday at 6 o'clock, you have 12 friends, and they all get together, and they all just play 1v1, and then you do that for 8 weeks. The length of a season. Then you have a little championship, and then the one of you, gets a T-shirt, a hug, or somebody buys beer for the winner, or you get $50 or whatever. It's that personalized experience for 12 people, where you're playing your NBA 2K and set against your friends and people who care about it, rather than random 13-year-olds. That's what Mission Control organizes, and we do that for you and your friends, but we also do it at a larger scale for someone like Comcast or Cinemark or GameStop, Duke University, City of Las Vegas. Those are all our customers who run rec leagues for NBA 2K and other video games on Mission Control.
That's amazing. And you're just opening my eyes to a whole new world that I wasn't as familiar with. But Austin, one of the things that you said is that people needed the excuse to get together. And you've explained how Mission Control puts the infrastructure around it. What are some of the obstacles that you are overcoming in people joining rec leagues or playing together, esports or other things? What are some of the obstacles that they have to overcome?
I'll do this in 2 areas. One is the market catching up, and 2 is how sports and esports are different. The market catching up is I would say the bigger thing, and that is there's 170 million people playing multiplayer video games, including you doing NBA 2K. However, the people who organize traditional sports aren't typically the ones who understand all the differences of esports. So if you've been playing soccer your entire life, and then you started running soccer leagues on your Excel sheet or on paper, and then you were like, let me get a software to make this easier, you understand the nuances of soccer and that you need to do it. Well, right now, the people who are really big on Fortnite and have been playing Fortnite for a long time, like max age is like 18 and a half. And those people are not the directors of intramurals at universities and Parks and Rec. Now, sometimes there is somebody who's super passionate about video gaming and they can run that, but we're trying to teach the market how to run stuff and then also say it's worthwhile, because it is worthwhile. There's 170 million people playing multiplayer video games. But a lot of the people who are organizing or in the decision-making chairs don't understand that or don't understand the details of how to do it, which makes us valuable. But it also means we have to convince people a little bit more, and that's a little bit of a difficult thing to get over. The second thing is how sports and esports are different, and both are umbrella terms. There's a lot of sports under sports, right? Like there's baseball. Let's just go with the big five. You got baseball, football, soccer, basketball, and hockey. And then under esports, you have a lot of titles as well, but they change like really fast. Like every week, there are rule updates that are just sent out. And then the map changes. And then we get bored with Fortnite and Apex Legends comes out and nobody plays that anymore and everybody plays this or whatever it is. And then Fortnite comes roaring back. Like it just constantly changes. And then on top of that, and nobody owns baseball or basketball. Somebody owns those titles. So you have to work around the fact that that's IP is owned, and you have to work with that IP owner, and you have to respect that because they made something really cool. But you also have to help build a community, and it's kind of tough to do that sometimes and work through those things. So those are the two main differences I see.
So as a startup founder, I want to shift and talk about business challenges, right? First startup?
Yes.
Talk to me about that experience and about the just the challenges that you've had to overcome.
Wow.
Maybe
How long do we have? Oh man, there's a lot of things here. I think the biggest thing is the experience is an experience of mistakes, right? It's exciting when you're wanting to build something. I think there's been two different things that's really interesting. One is just COVID, right? I am somebody who I am outgoing. I like to talk to people. I like to meet with people. And I raised, with my co-founder, just under $2 million. We signed the term sheet April of 2020. It was supposed to be March 15th, but then everything shut down. So it got delayed for a little bit. And then we had this 2-year runway we've had mainly in lockdown. And as somebody who learns from like in-person conversation, who like thrives off of that experience and gets energy. Like I meet people, I get energy. That's what fires me up. And I'm going to go and, go get a deal signed right after this because I'm excited from talking. There was a really interesting personal struggle that I had because I was sitting in my basement all day, just looking at 3 screens, and you can only do so much over 2D relationship building. So that was a personal struggle for me that was just unique to this time. But the second thing that's just difficult as a founder for me, when I started this, I was 23. My co-founder was 2. By the time we raised money, we were, I think, 24, 25, or at least big money, institutional money. And it was just imposter syndrome. I hired an awesome CTO. On paper, he had been working in like sports management stuff. That's what he built, and he did it for 20 years, and he worked for major brands, and is a generally good guy, and I still believe that. But like, he had 20 years of experience, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, you should do that. But kind of lost part of the fact, like just sight of the fact that people were investing in my vision, not this guy's vision. Yeah. And this guy was a brilliant guy, but I had the vision and I was trying to build something. And, when somebody comes in and has a competing vision and he's got more experience, I let too much of the reins go because I was like, I understand. You got 20 years of experience. You're brilliant. And he is. But we went down the wrong path because that wasn't the vision that people invested in, that I saw, and that I knew was an opportunity in the market. And imposter syndrome is just, it manifests in many ways, and that's just one example. And that relationship didn't work out because it took us in the wrong direction, and I had to basically regain my confidence and say, no, this is the vision. We have to go this direction. This is where the opportunity is. This is where I know I can gather community because that's the purpose here. And that's what I got people to buy into. So imposter syndrome manifests in a ton of ways, but especially I think in a little Midwest mentality, be humble sort of thing. I think, maybe it might even be a more unique thing here. in the STL. But at least for me, that's something that I struggle with.
That is such a great learning. And sometimes our best learnings come from the most challenging circumstances that require us to look deep and understand who we are. We're at the lightning round. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Before I actually get into the questions, there's something from our conversation before the camera started rolling that I want to lead in with, which is we're talking about a recent trip that you had. And in that same vein, what did you learn about yourself through travel or through some of your travel experiences? What have you learned about yourself?
Oh man, that's a good one. What have I learned about myself? I've learned to I would say just sit back and enjoy. Culture is amazing, and I don't have to be a part of it, but just to get and be able to see like how people bring joy to each other in different ways. And just wow, I sat there for 4 days during an Indian wedding in India, and it was just like every little bit of it was just people bringing joy to each other in ways that I'd never seen. And I was just like, this is awesome. Like just allowing myself to witness that more. I would love to do that. And that's why I love travel, but it's just seeing how people gather, honestly.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, she has a nonprofit with the tagline that travel awakens leaders.
Yes.
So
we'll be talking.
Yes. We will.
all right, here we go. Finish this statement. A story about me I hope my kids will tell.
Ooh.
Wow. That's tough. I just had my first kid a week ago.
Oh,
Congratulations.
congrats.
So I was playing roulette with this scheduled podcast because it was due next week.
Wow.
Came last week, so we'll see. That's a tough one. I would hope that they can tell a story about how I was part of building St. Louis to be a better place. I'm really passionate about St. Louis. I'm really passionate about building this community up, and I think a lot of that can be done by just creating jobs and creating opportunities. And so for me, that's why I like building a business. It's not itself a nonprofit, but I also see it has that purpose. Like if I'm paying tax dollars to the city of St. Louis and getting more because I got a business in the city of St. Louis, and then I'm hiring people in the city of St. Louis and creating jobs, I think that's really cool. And I would like that to be what I guess my kids can talk about.
When I was young, I would spend hours daydreaming about
baseball.
Has that changed?
No. I play way too much fantasy baseball. I say play, I sit there and I look at all the stats, and Albert Pujols coming to bat in 2022. That was what I daydreamed about. Yeah. No, I love baseball, love the Cardinals. I like numbers a lot, and I think baseball is one of those stoic, more numbers, stats-based sports, and I just enjoy the heck out of it. So.
And this is a special season.
Yes. Oh man. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm just okay. Something I would like to change about the way I deal with conflict.
Ooh.
I would like to be a little bit more assertive, actually. I think I deal with conflict in a very, let me hear what you say. Let me hear what you say. Let's meet in the middle. And sometimes that's not the right answer. Sometimes it's like, I know you feel that way. I know you feel that way. It's good to hear you, but this is the way we have to go as a team. I'm a consensus leader. Sometimes consensus leader in early stage startups, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to just be like, I know that's where the conflict lies, but our vision's here. We have to stay strong on that. We can be flexible on the details, but we have to stay strong here and move forward. I sometimes not assertive enough, not strong enough in that, and I think it causes problems. So I think that's something that I've learned and need to do better at still.
Last question. A person who doesn't know they've impacted my life is?
Wow. I try to do a really good job of letting people who have impacted my life know. I love the right after you hang out with somebody, send them a little text and say, that was really awesome sort of thing. But I'm going to go with just the SLU community, St. Louis University. I think that place was an awesome formative experience for me. And it's not fair to put any one person there because of all of the individual people there, whether it's professors or staff members who just built built me up, and just honestly gave me the self-efficacy to believe that I could, which honestly to me is what entrepreneurship is. Like, it's simply self-efficacy. And okay, I know that I can go do something big. I believe in myself. And whether that's, a political movement or a nonprofit or a for-profit, doesn't really matter. All of that's entrepreneurship if you just find out how to believe in yourself and have that confidence. And I think St. Louis University, the entrepreneurship center there, the business school there, like, they focused on making that possible. And so I think there's way too many people to name, so I'll give it to the institution and say that's a huge institution that's impacted my life, and I really appreciate that.
Amazing.
Austin, this has been a great conversation. How can people get in touch with you, with Mission Control?
Yeah, everything is missioncontrol.gg. So that's our website. You can find us at PlayMCGG on social media. You can find me on LinkedIn, Austin Smith, the one at Mission Control, because there's lots of us. And go from there, at Austin Miles Smith on Twitter. So yeah, find us, come gather in community with us, play some video games, enjoy yourself. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Innovation City. If you like this episode, you can find more episodes at innovationcity.co or anywhere where you watch or listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll see you next week.
This is where it all begins.